Good evening, and welcome to the Table of Truth. It's an extension of our Table of Truth blog talk radio show. We get through the same show also in our YouTube format, audio and visual. We meet here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time and 7 p.m. Uh, During the lesson this evening will be my co-host, Brother Kevin, and I'm your host, Brother Ron. As always, we're a Bible study show. We go through the Word of God, and we let the Bible speak for itself. We don't do any private interpretation. Do the protocol that was assigned by the people who wrote the Bible, and precept upon precept. Here a little and there a little. And that's what we do. We take the passages of the Bible and we line them up, line upon line. Because we all understand the Bible must be taught by subject and title. So therefore tonight, before we begin, as we always do, to the Most High God that we believe in, we're going to open up with the Lord's Prayer. Then the lesson will begin. Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread. Our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power forever. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We do got a slight break up there. We do got a slight break up there. But and brought out the Table of Truth study, where we deal with biblical topics relating to our salvation. For those that do believe in the Bible, may not understand it, this is for you. For those who kind of a little skeptic of it, but you trying to have an open mind, this is for you. For those of you adamant about not believing this thing, not trusting in the Bible, this may not be for you. Want to tune in and continue to listen, feel free. But this lesson, the title of it is, do we really want a revolution? We really want a revolution. And read a definition that I pulled up about the word revolution, because you got multiple definitions of revolution. Every revolution is not always speaking in a physical revolt state. Is what I want to focus on here. It says revolution, revolutio, a turnaround is a fundamental change in political power or organizational structures that take place in a short period of time when the population rises up in revolt against the current authorities. Arrow, two types of political revolution. Number one, complete change from one constitution to another. Two, modification of an existing constitution. I want to look at this. I want to pay attention to this, because you talking revolution, and revolution is don't focus on. It's something that pretty much, as far as I understand, with all the street talking, all the things that's on YouTube's and, social media, it's going to be a national thing. But what I want to do is I want to inform everybody that is truly thinking about dealing with revolution in a physical sense. revolt against current authorities. I want to put something on your mind. If you're a Bible believer, and especially if you're a Bible believer, be warned about these different things and these changes that's coming, because we're facing a whole bunch of changes. And brothers and sisters, so-called blacks, but we talking about Europeans, whites, and other different races just as well. But when you have a government that's misunderstood and mistreating its people, as the Bible says, when the wicked are in authority, the people, they mourn, or they're sad, or they upset. When the righteous are in authority, they rejoice. So right now, people are in a depressed state. So now let's start this lesson in Romans, the 13th chapter. Don't look at it from a Bible. We're going to look at why these things are happening, number one. Then we're going to look at, is revolting, according to the definition, this revolution, is revolting against authorities, against them, in a physical sense, where we talking the militia type battles, what they like to call today terrorism, shooting at one another, bombing one another, things of that nature. Is that a wise thing to do? And a lot of the times, even, doing a lot of marching and things of that nature. And I don't take that from people. I grant them that, because there's a way to get your point across. But Romans, the 13th chapter, brother, we're going to look at this, and we're going to take a real serious look at it. But it's simple to deal with simple stuff. I'm not dealing with Hebrew alphabets, Greek alphabets, the language, Paleo Hebrew. I'm not dealing with that type of stuff. I'm trying to relate to my people in the tongue wherein we understand. And this tongue we understand and communicate in is English. So I'm trying to get on one accord with us. So Romans, the 13th chapter, my brother, pick it up at verse 1. We're going to read 1 and 2. Read verse 1 for me, and let the people understand what the Lord is trying to show us. Go ahead.
Let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. No power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God.
Pay attention, sister, brothers. Now, this is the Apostle Paul, and I know a lot of people don't believe in the New Testament. For that matter, don't even believe in the Bible. That's cool. That's fine. Didn't write it. I'm not God. I'm not the one that's going to have to judge you. Not that I know of at this moment. But, that's fine and dandy. But he said, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers. Every covers every single individual. There is no power but of God. Powers that be are ordained of God. Crooked system, we don't see that as being a power that's ordained of God. And if so, then God must be evil. But read verse 2, bro.
Whosoever therefore resisted the power, resisted the ordinance of God. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation.
Be careful about jumping up the current authorities, because the current authorities where we at dealing with, we know what we're dealing with, right? So now let's go take a look at this. Let's go in the Old Testament. Let's go to 2 Kings. 2 Kings, and we're going to pick it up at the 23rd chapter. We're going to take the children of Israel as an example here. In 2 Kings chapter 23. Because believe it or not, if everybody understood who these people, the children of Israel, were, and how they were, how to their creator and their God, then they will understand that no matter wherever we are, that's where the drama is going to be brought. And a lot of the times, that reality is definitely overlooked because there's a lack of knowledge. Of trying to understand a thing, we're too busy trying to discredit a thing. But anyway, 2 Kings chapter 23. Pick it up at verse 26 for me, my brother. Verse 26. Now this right here is the Lord is addressing all the idolatry that was going on in the land. He gathered all the elders, the kings, the priests, and all of them. He gathered all those people together. They got to cleaning up Israel. They removed the idolatrous priests that was setting up. They moved the groves and all of those different things. The Lord still have a problem. This situation that occurred. Pick it up at verse 26, brother. Go ahead.
Notwithstanding, the Lord turned not from the fierceness of his great wrath, wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah, because of all the provocations that Manasseh had provoked him withal.
So now he said, notwithstanding, the Lord turned not from the fierceness of his great wrath, wherewith his anger was kindled against Judah. Judah is one tribe, 12. But you also had Benjamin sojourning with Judah as well. And then you're going to have Levi with him as well. But it says, because of all the provocations that Manasseh, which were one of the kings, had provoked him with, because he set up a whole bunch of idols in the land and caused Israel to go astray. But read verse 27, brother. Verse 27. Go ahead.
And the Lord said, I will remove Judah also out of my sight, and I have removed Israel, and will cast off this city Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house which I said, my name shall be there.
He said, and the Lord said, I will remove Judah also out of my sight, as I have removed who? Israel. And he allowed Israel to be removed by the Assyrians. But notice the Lord keeps saying, I'm going to remove this people. Attention to this, because this, we understand what is going on. We start to slow down with reacting to certain things so quickly, and we'll start to think. And then we can make wiser decisions and choices. So it says, and the house of, he said, as I have removed Israel and will cast off this city, Jerusalem, which I have chosen, and the house of which I said, my name shall be there. Now he took them out, like I said, by the hand of the Assyrians, down by himself. He was in his spirit form and made himself manifest and just started whooping on Israel. No. What he did was he used the nations to come up against them. And that's a common thing. Let's go directly to chapter 24 now. 24, we're going to pick it up at verse 1. To 24 and verse 1. Let's take a look at who the Lord is going to use against the house of Judah. Some names are. Go ahead and read.
Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him.
Yep. See, Nebuchadnezzar is getting ready to run this thing, or at this time he is. And guess what? Jehoiakim is serving 3 years, he said. Turned around and rebelled against him. Probably wasn't paying tribute, because that's normally what they don't do. That's what happened with Hoshea when he was doing that over there to Assyria. And that's what caused the Assyrian king to come up against him.
And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldees, and bands of the Syrians, and bands of the Moabites,
Yes, sir.
of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it,
Yes, sir.
according to the word of the Lord by
Yeah.
his servants the prophets.
Man, he in Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldeans, he said he also sent the bands, meaning the families of Syrians, the families of the Moabites, the families and the armies of the children of Ammon. He said, and sent them against Judah to destroy it. So they had help to take these people down. According to the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servants, the prophets. In order for the Lord to put this judgment on you, he have to warn you first. Be an unjust God if he didn't warn you and let you know, hey, you doing wrong. I'm gonna go upside your head. He said he warned them, the prophets, which we're gonna see shortly. Go ahead and read.
Surely at the commandment of the Lord came this upon Judah, to remove them out of his sight, for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did.
Go ahead.
And also blood that he shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon.
So he said that he also filled blood, Jerusalem. The Lord ain't gonna pardon what Manasseh did with that. Go ahead.
Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah?
He said, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? Kings, right? Verse 10, and let's read a little bit more of this, Brian.
At that time, the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up against Jerusalem. He was besieged.
And the city was surrounded. So that's what they did when they said besieged, they surrounded it. A lot of the times they would dig trenches around it too, and make them little forts where you can't leave or come out of it. So they said they surrounded the city. Go ahead and read.
Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it.
Go ahead.
Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother, and his servants, and his princes, and his officers, and the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign.
So I guess he would come out once you find out that everybody got you surrounded. Jerusalem was fortified so tight. I mean, this was like unlike any other city that was fortified so tight that you had to have that type of manpower and structure to surround and siege Jerusalem. The way that it was designed and structured, the Lord had it set up. This city was so on point that you couldn't just run in, and neither could you just run out. So this guy had to give up because what? They seized Jerusalem. Go ahead and read that.
And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had
Cut
said.
in pieces. Ooh, that's you destroying that gold. Go ahead and read that.
And he carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes, and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained, save the poorest sort of the people of the land.
He said, none remain save the poorest sort of the people of the land. He even got something to do with them too. Go ahead.
And he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wife, and his officers, and the mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon.
Wait a minute. You went from Jerusalem, now you're in Babylon. Mama, the officers, etc. Go ahead.
And all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths 1,000, all that were strong and apt for war. Even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon.
Even them, go ahead.
And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king in his stead, and changed his name to Zedekiah.
So wait a minute, you took down Jehoiakim. He rebelled and gave him 3 years. He rebelled, right? So now he changed Mattaniah, his name, Mattaniah, to Zedekiah. So Zedekiah is in position now. Lines rule. But let's see what happened. Go ahead.
It was 21 years old when he began to reign. And he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah.
Go ahead.
He did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done.
Wait a minute. So he still didn't. They didn't learn their lesson, even though he saw what happened to Jehoiakim, right? No. Read verse 20.
For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out from his presence, rebelled against the king of Babylon.
He said, so Zedekiah rebelled against the kingdom, the king of Babylon. That is called revolting and rising up. We're going to look at it now. Let's go get, which would be one of the prophets, rising up and bringing a word to them. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 19th chapter. Chapter 19. We're going to read 1 through 5. Down to verse 15, my brother. Verse 1 through 5 and then verse 15. Whenever you get it, go ahead and read.
Said the Lord, go and get a potter's earthen bottle, and take of the ancients of the people, and of the ancients of the priests.
Yes, sir.
And the valley of the son of Hinnom, which is by the entry of the east gate. Find there the words that I shall tell thee. And say, hear ye the word of the Lord, O kings of Judah, and inhabitants of Jerusalem. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. Behold, I will bring evil upon this place, the which whosoever heareth, his ears shall tingle.
He said his ears shall tingle. Now, I ever had that tingle in your ear? But go ahead and read.
Forsaken me, and have estranged this place, and have burned incense in it unto other gods, nor their fathers have known, nor the kings of Judah, filled this place with the blood of innocence.
Blood of innocence. Go ahead and read verse 5.
They have built also the high places of Baal, to burn their sons with fire for burnt offerings unto Baal, which I commanded not, nor spake it, neither came it into my mind.
To my mind. Get to the point now. The meat of the matter. Read verse 15. Go ahead.
Thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will bring upon this city and upon all her towns all the evil that I have pronounced against it, because they have hardened their necks, that they might not hear my words.
Wait a minute now. The Lord said, I will bring up upon this and upon her all her towns, all that evil that I have pronounced against it. But they have that they might not hear my. The Lord has said, I'm doing all of this. Next. Go over to the 21st chapter. Chapter 21 and pick it up at verse 1. 21 and verse 1. Remember Zedekiah? He rebelled after being put in position. He rebelled and king 21 years old when he started reigning. Now let's see if the Lord gonna warn him, because he said it in the 19th chapter that he warned the kings and Jerusalem. Go ahead and read verse 1 through 3.
Word which came unto Jerusalem from the Lord, when King Zedekiah sent unto him Pashur, the son of Melchiah, and Zephaniah, the son of Maaseiah, the priest, saying,
Yes.
Inquire, I pray thee, of the Lord for us. For Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, maketh war against us. If so be that the Lord will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may go up from us.
But wait a minute. The reason he is there is because the Lord sent him there. And the Lord, why are you having this guy to go and pray unto the Lord? Lord, about Nebuchadnezzar, the one that's making war against us. It ain't Nebuchadnezzar. See, this is the mind frame. When you rebelling against God, you can't see things according to the scripture. You become blinded. So you can't really see things. So now, pick it up at verse, pick 3 and read for me, my brother.
Jeremiah unto them, thus shall ye say to Zedekiah, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, behold, the weapons of war that are in your hands against the king of Babylon, which besiege you without the walls. And I will assemble them into the midst of this city.
Go ahead.
I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm, even in anger and in fury and in great wrath.
So wait a minute. Look how the Lord respond to what Zedekiah is asking. He said, I will turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, wherewith ye fight against the king of Babylon and against the Chaldeans, which besiege you without the walls, and I will assemble them in the midst of his city. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm, in anger and in fury and in great wrath. Why we can't look past Jesus and understand who it is that gave him the strength to fight against us. The point we're trying to make, though, we're trying to show you that the Lord said, I myself. He gonna keep saying I and her. Go ahead and read verse 6 and 7.
Verse 6, and I will smite the inhabitants of this city, both man and beast. They shall die of a great pestilence.
They shall die of great pestilence. Go ahead and read. And what else I'm going to do?
For said the Lord, I will deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah, and his servants, and the people that are left in this city from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those that seek their life. He shall smite them with the edge of the sword.
So,
Neither to have pity nor have mercy.
He said he will not spare them. He gonna smite them with the edge of the sword. He neither will he have pity, nor will he have mercy. Let's go over to Isaiah, the 55th chapter, because we're saying all this eye stuff. Real quick, let's investigate him. Him that's different from us. See, the Lord say something. If he say something gonna happen, We change our mind. We fair weather like that. But the Lord, he finna explain something to us. Chapter 55 and verse 10, brother. Isaiah 55 and verse 10. When you get it, go ahead.
55 and verse 10. For as the rain cometh down, and the snow from heaven, and return it not thither, earth, and make it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater.
A minute. So as the rain coming down, now have anybody ever seen the rain and the snow come from the second heaven? Have anybody ever seen that rain and snow come down, hit the ground? We ever seen it go from the ground and reverse itself and just start flowing back upward? It comes down and hit the ground, and then it accomplished the purpose of where it came to. And why did it come? He said, for it's supposed to water the earth that it may bring forth and bud. That's how you get your fruit, your vegetables, etc., etc. That it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater. Verse 11.
So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it.
He said, but my word is the same way. It's going to go out my mouth, and it's going to hit the target, and it's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. Hey, boy. Just like that rain and that snow, when it come down, it ain't coming back up. Word, when it come down, that's it. That's what he was trying to inform Zedekiah, Jehoiakim, Manasseh, and all the ancients of Israel, as well as the priests. Let's go to 2 Kings 25 now. Kings chapter 25. Chapter 25. He said that all these things will happen to him. Let's see if we can actually see this stuff going into effect now. The word will not return unto him void. 25 and verse 1. When you get it, you can go ahead and read it.
And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his hosts, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it, and they built forts against it round about.
I told you that's how they had to do against Jerusalem. When you actually look at how Jerusalem was built, them ditches going around it, and they had them fortified it's almost like trap walls. It wasn't trap walls, but it made it hard for anybody to come in against you. Why they had to do what they had to pitch against it, and they had to build forts against it round about. The Lord even had to help them, because if the Lord wouldn't have helped them, it would have been a hard time trying to get up in there. But go ahead and read verse 2, bro.
And the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah.
Go ahead.
And on the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine prevailed in the city, and there was no bread for the people of the land.
Wasn't no bread, that means nobody could eat, right? Skip down to verse 5 and read. Verse 5.
And the army of the Chaldees pursued after the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. And all his army was scattered from him.
I mean, it was scattered. So once they got the king, they always say that you knock out the toughest, the rest of them gonna flee, right? And all his army, they scattered. Go ahead and read.
Verse 6. So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon to Riblah, and they gave judgment upon him. They slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes, and put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and bound him with fetters of brass, and carried him to Babylon.
Y'all heard it? They killed his children right before his eyes, and then they put his eyes out. That was the very last thing that he saw before they plucked his eyes out of his head, or blinded him, and bound him in fetters of brass, and carried him to Babylon. And he remained in prison. Skip down to verse 9 and read 9 through 12.
And he burnt the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem. And every great man's house burnt he with fire.
Lord said he was going to tear up all the city. He said he was going to tear up the cities and all the towns therein. Go ahead.
And all the army of the Chaldees that were with the captain of the guard break down the walls of Jerusalem round about. Now the rest of the people that were left in the city, and the fugitives that fell away to the king of Babylon with the remnant of the multitude, did Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carry away.
Yes, sir. Go ahead and read one more verse.
But the captain of the guard left of the poor of the land to be vine dressers and husbandmen.
So now he put them to work, didn't he, bro? He said everybody useful. Let's go to Proverbs, the 21st chapter. Let's read something. You think this king woke up to go against Jerusalem because we just want to be evil and wicked? If a lot of Israelites that don't know anything, that's how it seems. But if you read the book itself, you'll see something different. 21 and verse 1. Proverbs 21 and verse 1. When you get it, go ahead and read that.
The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will.
Wait a minute. What king is in question that we're talking about right now?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, Nebuchadnezzar. So now, if we got Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord said, I'm working with this guy's mind. I'm making him go up against who? Israel. Syria's mind. I'm messing with Ammon's mind. I'm messing with all these different individuals' minds to make them go up against Israel. Stir up their minds. I'm gonna be their strength to take down Israel. Let's go to chapter 52 now. 52nd chapter. Because we need to understand that the Lord, he controls kings. We need to understand that. Things ain't so bad when you understand that the Lord got everything in the palm of his hand. You know. Chapter 52. And pick it up at verse 1 for me. 52 and verse 1. Get it? Go ahead.
Zedekiah was 120 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah.
Go ahead.
And he did that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done.
Go ahead.
Through the anger of the Lord, it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon.
Y'all see how the story keep repeating it? The prophets, one prophet the book of the Kings tell about it, and then Jeremiah speak about it. Supposed to be the prophets the story is supposed to, you know what I'm saying? What you say over here, this individual is supposed to say. Say this was supposed to say. The record's supposed to be on one accord. Matter of fact, the history even tell it the same way. We're talking about the history books. They even tell it the exact same way. If I could put the history book up on a screen, I will show you how the history books is pretty heavy. Skip down to verse 8. Skip down to verse 8 and read that for me.
But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king and overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho. The army was scattered from him.
Wait a minute, ain't that what we just read?
Mm-hmm.
That is what we just read in 2 Kings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finish, let's see what else we read there. Go ahead.
Then they took the king and carried him up to the king of Babylon to Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment upon him. And the king of Babylon slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. He slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah.
So wait a minute. He slew all this. He slew his sons before his eyes. We read that, and he slew also all the princes of Judah in Riblah. But go ahead and read verse 11. Let's see what they did to him. Let's see if they put his eyes out.
Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and the king of Babylon bound him in chains and carried him to Babylon and put him in prison to the day of his death.
Put him, locked him up till the day of his death. Sisters and brothers, to be honest with you, he could have skipped down to verse 26. Can avoid a lot of what we go through, except we don't understand like Zedekiah didn't understand. Hey, go to the Lord and see if he'll remove Nebuchadnezzar. Just keep bringing war against us away from us. Remove him for what? He said he was going to bring him. Said his word don't return unto him void. So guess what? These cities got to go down. The question is, are you going to humble yourself to God so you don't have to die before him? Eyes plucked out your head. But go ahead and read though. We just want to show y'all something about authority dealing with revolution. That all I do is, in a sense, shake my head because I know the outcome of every part of the situation. If we talking going to war physically, how many guns you collect, and how much knowledge you got. If it ain't according to this book and God, your battle is lost before you started. Go ahead and read though.
So Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, took them and brought them to the king of Babylon to Riblah.
Yep.
Babylon smote them in the land of Hamath, away captive out of his own land.
He was carried captive out of his own land. Go ahead.
This is the people whom Nebuchadnezzar carried away captive in the 7th year, 3,000 Jews in 3 and 20.
Wait a minute, 3,000 Jews. This is the people who Nebuchadnezzar carried away captive in the 7th year, 3,020. So that's 3,320. Go ahead.
18th year of Nebuchadnezzar, he carried away captive from Jerusalem 832 persons.
So 832 now. Go ahead.
In 20th year of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuzaradan, the captain of the guard, carried away captive of the Jews 745 persons.
Yes.
Word 4,600.
So they come up with 4,600, right? I did the math and it say 4,897. But I also put 4,600. Even in the history book, it have a slight off number. But guess what? We know that it was more than 4,500, don't we? 100 is a large number that don't need to be dying for reasons, a lack of knowledge. We know that this is unnecessary. Let's go over to Daniel, the first chapter. It was chapter 1. Let's see something, because Daniel, he was in this. Daniel saw this stuff taking place. Daniel chapter 1. Daniel was involved. His attitude versus the attitude of Zedekiah, Jehoiakim, and all of them. And let's watch how he got insight that they didn't have while they was in captivity. Chapter 1 and verse 1. 1 and verse 1. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it.
Go ahead.
Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried to the land of Shinar, to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God.
So now just a little bit, but now you see what he's saying. He's even rehearsing this, and he's a prophet. He's saying, 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, he went unto Jerusalem and he besieged it. He told us that, as well as Jeremiah told us that. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, remember his mother, his princess, and all the people about, even the common, all they gold, this, that, and the third that Solomon had, and they broke this stuff into what they said happened. Daniel said that way. Evidently, he was there. Read verse 3 and 4.
And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, the seed, and of the princes.
Yeah, you breaking up again. But read verse 4. Try to read verse 4 again.
Children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, no wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, in whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
Right, so they had to teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. You got to always translate so we can communicate. That's all languages is there for, is communication. Skip down to verse 6 and 7. Let's see a few of these that were among them. 6 and 7. Go ahead.
Among these were the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah.
Go ahead.
Unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names. For he gave unto Daniel the name of Belshazzar, of Shadrach, and to Mishael of Meshach, and to Azariah of Abednego.
They got their names changed just like Zedekiah got his changed, didn't it? and they ain't even making a big deal out of it. It even got changed, and we see that the point is Daniel was her. To Jeremiah. This time we're gonna go to Jeremiah chapter 29. Let's see who got good listening skills and who don't. Let's see who's obedient to the Lord and who ain't. 29 and verse 1. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders that were carried away captives, and to the priests, and to the prophets, whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon.
Ron, you got to switch up something. I'm gonna read verse 2 because you sorely and it's breaking up real bad. But I'm gonna read verse 2. It says, after that Jeconiah the king and the queen and eunuchs and the princes of Judah and Jerusalem and the carpenters and the smiths parted from Jerusalem, and of the son of Shaphan and Gamariah, the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah king of Judah sent unto Babylon to Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon, saying, and man, these words are getting little because I'm looking at the screen. Let me magnify this a little bit better for me. So now it says, Verse 4, thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel. So the Lord is doing the talking. This is what the Lord is saying by the mouth of Jeremiah, the prophet, to Israel, the residue of the elders, the ones that were carried captives, the priests, the prophets, and all the people. Yeah, I can hear you. You want to pick it back up now? We at verse 4.
Thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon.
Y'all notice that again? He said, whom I caused. Now, this is one individual I know that say I more than anybody. But go ahead and read verse 5. What do you want us to do while we're here?
Build ye houses and dwell in them, and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them.
Wait a minute. Build you some houses, dwell in them. Plant you some gardens and eat you some fruit thereof. Take care of yourself. What else he wants you to do?
Take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons.
Hold on, stop, because we gotta make sure that they understand this part. I done seen too many brothers chop this up. When they say take ye wives, he talking collectively. Every man get you a wife. Now, unless Nebuchadnezzar said it's okay to have multiple, then if that's what you chose to do, and you follow them laws at that particular time, and the laws pertaining to that, cool. But if he didn't, guess what? Right now, he's talking collectively. He said, take ye wives. He ain't talking about everybody. All the men, get you a wife. And beget sons and daughters. And what else? Go ahead.
And take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may...
Stop one more time. And take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands. You understand what he's saying? Give your daughters to husbands. Because if you gonna single that out, then you gotta say that you're gonna let your daughter be married to multiple husbands. No. So this is a collective thing that he's telling them to do. In other words, he's saying, listen, continue to do what you was doing in Jerusalem, but guess what? You have some authority over you now, and they faces gonna look different from you. They're gonna have different customs, etc., etc. So be fruitful and multiply amongst them. Go ahead and read.
That they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. What else you want us to know?
And seek the peace of the city, whither I have caused you to be carried away captives.
Yes, sir.
And pray unto the Lord for it.
Yes.
For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace.
He said you're supposed to pray for the place that you in, and for the Lord to have peace up in there because you there.
Yes,
he
sir.
says seek the peace of the city, not the drama and the confusion and the fighting and the uproar of the city. He says seek the peace of it. That's what he wanted them to do. He said, while you over here in Babylon, seek the peace of the city. Why cause you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. For what? For the city and the peace. For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. Go ahead and read 8.
But thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed.
Some of them going to come to you and they're going to say things like, let's go to war against them. Let's get up out of here and run away from them and all these other different things. Ain't nowhere you can run from. Run from them here and not still serve them. It's impossible. And also they can come and they're going to teach you a lot of other things doctrine-wise that you know is not sound. But he said, don't let them which are among you, which are in the midst of you, deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed. Read verse 9. Go ahead.
For they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. I have not sent them, said the Lord.
Right. I have not sent them, said the Lord, like this one doctrine where they be saying, hey, America is Babylon. Flee up out of her. You like, what? The Bible says the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. Man, where can you go where this God don't rule? We're in the hand of the Gentiles. The Gentiles are the Europeans. They run every inch of this earth. Wherever there's land mass, wherever there's water, they can tax you. Wherever they got people at, they run this earth. And who gave it to them? We're going to see shortly. But read verse, what verse we stop at?
We just read verse 9.
Okay, read verse 10. Watch, he finna put a time frame on it now. Go ahead.
For thus saith the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you and perform my good word toward you, in causing you to return to this place.
Causing you to return to Israel, Jerusalem. He said, but it's after 70 years got to be accomplished. I'm going to visit you. So don't let nobody tell you nothing different than what I just told you. Because you know how you got in trouble and got here. Back up to chapter 17, Ron. Chapter 17, read 1 through 4. 17, 1 through 4. When you left your land and they took all that stuff from you, they changed your name. It's a lot of other things that left with you. And we want to read it to you so nobody won't have these petty arguments and debates and asking these foolish questions, unlearned questions amongst each other all the time. Same things. 17 and 1. Go ahead.
The sin of Judah is written with a pen of iron and with the point of a diamond. It is graven upon the table of their heart and upon the horns of your altars.
Wait a minute. The sin of Judah, we are talking about Judah because that's what we focused on right now. He said the Assyrians already did what I need them to do to Israel. We want about the 9 tribes. Ephraim is what he called them because it was Jeroboam who was the head of them that caused them out of the tribe of Ephraim that caused them to go astray. But go ahead and read verse 2, brother.
While their children remember their altars and their groves by the green trees upon the high hills.
Go ahead.
Oh, my mountain in the field, I will give thy substance and all thy treasures to the spoil, and thy high places for sin throughout all thy borders.
Ain't that what he did? Yes, yes, indeed. What else did he give up, Ron? Go ahead.
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee.
Wait a minute. Your heritage comes with land, don't it? Comes with customs, don't it? Comes with a native tongue, don't it?
Yeah.
Why do you think he told you in Isaiah the 28th chapter, with a stammering lips and another tongue will I speak to this people? Because you ain't going to be speaking that language. That's finna cease. He's saying it right here. You want to go against anything you just read? Well, I'd rather read the Hebrew. That's fine. But the second you say a person need that, and they have to speak that, that's where you and there at. Go ahead and read.
And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land, which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever.
Yeah, because after they started cleaning up the palaces and the temples that happened, the Lord said, I'm still pissed off at Manasseh, what he did. And that's why he keeps saying that. That's an anger part of me that is going to be kindled in me for a long time. Because they didn't have to go that route. But he said, wherever you go, you're going to be serving who? Your enemies. We know what serve. That means you're going to be a captive. That means in order for you to eat, in order for you to wash your butt, in order for you to drink, in order for you to clothe your, put a house and roof over your head, you have to go to your enemy for some type of assistance. Let's go to Daniel, bag up to Daniel, the 5th chapter. Daniel chapter 5. Daniel's chapter 5 and read verse 18 for me, bro. Starting with this guy here. Let's read a little bit about this guy, Nebuchadnezzar. This thing didn't stop at him. Go ahead and read verse 18, Daniel 5 and 18.
O thou king, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar thy father a kingdom, and majesty, and glory, and honor.
Wait a minute. That guy's wicked though. He this and he that, he a heathen. But the Lord said he gave him a kingdom and majesty and glory and honor. We don't pay attention to any of these things. Whoever finna be seated in a White House, guess what? The Lord already know they're gonna be seated there. It has to enhance his plan for this earth. If it does not enhance God's plan for this earth and his part in redeeming this thing, it won't go down. Period, point, and a blank. Go ahead and read, brother.
And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations,
Yes.
and languages trembled and feared before him.
Yes, sir.
Whom he would, he slew.
Yes, sir.
And whom he would, he kept alive.
Yes, sir.
And whom he would, he set up. And whom he would, he put down.
Yeah, because he set up Jehoiakim for 3 years. He stopped paying tribute, set him down. Zedekiah rebelled against him. The Lord said, okay, it's time for you to sit down. And Nebuchadnezzar sat him down. Read verse 20.
But when his heart was lifted up, and his mind hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him.
Wait a minute, and you can bag up and read the 4th chapter on your own, and you'll read everything that happened to him. Because he was walking in his palace and start bragging about how his hands built all of this. The Lord said before the words could even get out of his mouth, the judgment was on his head. 7 years this guy had to suffer. And he finna tell us how he suffered. Go ahead and read.
And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like the beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven.
Yes.
Till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that he appointed over it whomsoever he will.
Proverbs, Solomon told us that in Proverbs. He told us that, didn't he? Read verse 22, brother.
And thou, his son, O Belshazzar, hast not humbled thine heart, though thou knewest all this.
He said you ain't even humble your heart even though you knew all this. But remember, Daniel is in this captivity, ain't he? Let's go over to chapter 9 right quick. Let's go over to chapter 9 and see what he got to say about the matter. Is he saying let's revolt? Let's stand up? Let's fight for our rights? Is that what he's saying? Or is his conduct before God blameless and the Lord gonna make? Because it says in the book of Proverbs that when a man's ways please the Lord, he make even his enemies to be at peace with him. So the voting and all of that, okay, fine, but guess what? If your conduct is on point with God, you ain't got to worry about nothing. I don't care what captivity you in. I don't care what captivity you in. Daniel chapter and verse 7. Read verse 7, then we're going to skip, brother. Read verse 7. Go ahead.
O Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. As at this day to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off.
Yes.
So all the countries whither thou hast driven them.
Yes.
Because of their trespass, that they have trespassed against thee.
He ain't say just because the white man is evil and he the devil. He said because of the trespass that they trespass against me. We overlook this and we keep overlooking the problem. and we never pay attention to it. Skip down to verse 9 and read them, though. Read verse 9 through 14. Go ahead.
To the Lord our God belong mercies and forgivenesses, though we have rebelled against him.
Yes, sir.
Neither have we obeyed the voice of the Lord our God to walk in his laws, which he set before us by his servants the prophets.
What he told us to do, Ron? He told us to walk in his laws. Ain't that what he said?
Yes, sir.
And he said, I caught them, and they brought the very first commandment, and they kept doing it. They kept building and creating groves and idols, and they had a God for this and a God for that. They sacrificing their children unto it. You want to get the Lord upset? Grab a false image or a God or idol and start worshiping it. That ain't no advice. I'm just saying, if you want to get him really pissed off, deal with that stuff, because he know it ain't nothing but vanity. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice.
Yes.
Therefore, the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him.
That's how you know that Daniel is a legit prophet, because he told you that anybody come talking to you anything different than what I'm saying, then you better be watching out for them, because they're going to deceive you. He telling you everything that you've done wrong. In other words, your forefathers, because we wasn't back there. But, well.
And he have confirmed his words, which he spake against us, and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done, as have been done upon Jerusalem.
Now you ask yourself, and I'm saying it with all due respect, and I ain't saying it's just overlook they killing, but you ask yourself, compared to what happened with the so-called blacks, the so-called Negro, or the so-called African American, wherever we might be at, whether the light shade Israelite down to the darkest shade of the Israelite. But if you look at their history, what happened to them documented in history, and you look at what happened to them people over at the Holocaust, man, you can't even hold that ain't even holding a candlelight to what we went through. Not even a little bit. And guess what? These things are still going to stick to this people. And they're going to point some things out to us. But go ahead and finish reading that, verse 13.
As it is written in the law of Moses, all this evil has come upon us.
Yes.
Yet made we not our prayer before the Lord our God.
Yes, sir.
That we might turn from our iniquities and understand thy truth.
So I know that Daniel was reading the letters of Jeremiah, because he said the same thing. He said, when you in that place of peace, he said, pray unto the Lord for it. Here's what he's saying. All this evil has come upon us, yet made we not our prayer. Daniel got in Babylon, and guess what he doing? He went upstairs. Oh, well, I ain't going to say upstairs because he didn't say upstairs. But he went to his place of lodging and dwelling place, his house. He said he opened up his windows and faced towards the east, and he made his prayer before the Lord. Especially when they came against him falsely. And the Lord answered. But read verse 14. What else happened, brother?
Therefore hath the Lord watched upon the evil and brought it upon us. For the Lord our God.
Hold on. He watched it happen with his eyes, and he brought it upon us. Why we keep saying the evil devil, white man, and the Edomite and all of this? Am I saying that they not sinners and they evil and they live evil like everybody else? Of course. Well, so do Israel. And so have Israel. But go ahead and read.
For the Lord our God is righteous in all his works which he doeth, for we obeyed not his voice.
We didn't obey his voice. That is the point. Now, let's go to Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter. Deuteronomy 32. Why did I read all of that? And I kept going to them same spots and they verified each other? Because the Lord wants us to know this. He said, I had this thing documented so many times in a book that can't nobody say they did this to you. And in all actuality, it was me who did it to you. Therefore, I don't want you giving my glory to anybody else. This is all me. What do we go out there and do when we get a bullhorn and some clothing that we want to put on and put our fringes on? We start talking about what they did to us. We start talking about how they deserve chains and what they deserve to be making our biscuits and kissing our boots and all of this other stuff. See, the mind frame ain't changed, man. It have not changed. We keep looking at the belt, but we won't look at the hand that's swinging it. Deuteronomy 32 and 26, brother. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 26.
That's all.
I said I would scatter them into corners.
Yes.
I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
He said I would do this. Scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Your name Israel, don't nobody associate you with Israel. You in proverb like the curses say. They call you a Negro, nigger, and everything else under the sun. African American, you got a whole continent, and then you way over here in America, and you named after 2 Europeans. And then we want to argue with each other and tell each other, well, you know what? I ain't no Israelite. I know what I am. I'm Pan-African, or I'm an African, or I'm Egyptian. I'm like, do you know where the words come from? You gonna call yourself an African? Well, which part of that continent did you come off of? Nigeria? Sudan? Where? Zimbabwe? Name one of the places you came from. Trace your roots down and go back. Trust me, if I didn't like this place enough, I would give me a passport and I'd move out of here. But guess what I understand? That this place ain't as bad as a lot of the places that I see. And what you mean by a lot of the places you see, man? Because listen, we're a little bit more advanced in technology and things. Some of them still live like we were living during the days of old when we were riding on donkeys and, you know what I mean? And, you know, some of the water and some of the necessities that we need is kind of hard to come by in some of them countries. And a little more suffering. So, but he said, I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. When you read Psalms, the 83rd chapter, you read some of the nations who the Lord used to help take your name away. And they don't even use the name Israel. They use part of a tribe and then add ish to the end of it. But read verse 27, bro.
Verse 27. Were it not that I feared the wrath of the enemy, lest their adversaries should behave themselves strangely, and lest they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord have not done all this.
But guess what? They not saying that. You know who's saying it? We are. By standing up there giving them credit to my, you devil, you did this to our people, you did that to our people. No, the Lord did this. And I constantly keep reading it to you. Now, you point out a lesson and you put one together if you don't agree with what we're talking about over here this evening. And you show me, were we wrong according to this book? The Lord said he been doing this. Yeah, he doing it, but that don't take away from them from being evil. You're right. It don't. In fact, let's go look at it. Let's go to Zechariah chapter 1. We don't leave no stone unturned. The point is you still got to put it in order, though. You can't jump over all the bad history. your people did, and jump directly to the white man, call him the devil, and throw him in the fire. Have the ones that you call the devil look like me.
Yes, sir.
Ride through the hood, I gotta look over my shoulder at my own brother.
Yes, sir.
I gotta put the chirp on both the cars. Chirp, 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 chirp. The other one, chirp, 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 chirp. Both of the cars, because I don't want him jumping there, stealing it, and going on a joyride, taking my radios out, or taking anything valuable in there and pawning it at the pawn shop. So we gotta look at the real problem. Ain't no education, no true education of this Bible being put out there. And the Israelites that's waking, some of them, the Israelites, because some of them ain't physical Israel. But the ones that's starting to wake up, they got just as much poison as the mainstream or Roman Catholicism got, man. Stuff sounds so crazy. My head start hurting when I listen to something. I can't even listen to all of it. It aggravates me. Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 14. Zechariah chapter 1 and verse 14. What the Lord just gonna let, see, that's why I don't believe in that Bible. Because he gonna sit by, cause this evil on his own people and just watch these devils do this to us. Nah. We're gonna read how he feel about that. We got a whole bunch of book on how he feel about what they doing. But the point is, he looking at you. You know why? Because you're his firstborn. You are the big brother that he left over the house. And he said, I'm going out for a little while. And when I return, I want my house in order. And you know what you did? You said, all right, y'all can burn the house down. In fact, we're going to help you burn the house down. Let's just have a whole house party. Now he upset with you. He whooping your butt for it because you the big brother and you looking at the little brother and you upset with him when you should know better. 14, go ahead, brother.
So the angel that communed with me said unto me, Cry thou, saying, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
I'm jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great, he ain't saying a little jealousy, with a great jealousy. Go ahead and read.
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease.
Stop, Ron. He said, I am very sore displeased with the heathen. There y'all go, Israel. I'm trying to show you something. He's very displeased, sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. Some of them are not at ease. Pay attention to what he's saying. Some of them feel bad for what their ancestors done. And you know what? They try to find a way to make it right to us. And guess what we telling them? You'll make it right when you get down on that ground and kiss these boots. And when you in that kingdom making my biscuits. And guess what? These people trying to make it right, man. Some of them are. Oh, he must got him a white woman. He must deal with slaves. Listen, man, I love Israel. I love my dark brown women. That's what I love. And I ain't, but everybody got their preference. But the so-called black woman to me is the best for me. But go ahead and read.
For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction.
For I was but a little displeased with Israel, and they helped forward the affliction. What they made, they even made they state worse. They grieved them. They got them doing certain things that they know is going to be a little bit impossible for them to perform. They made sports out of some of the things that they put them people through when they was going through slavery. They did some unnecessary evil to my people. The Lord said, but I got my eye on that. When you read the second chapter, he tell you, listen. He said, the Lord said, he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. We talking about the second chapter of Zechariah. But go ahead and read one more or two more.
Therefore, thus said the Lord, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house will be built in it, said the Lord of hosts, and
will.
a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem.
Go ahead and read one more.
Cry yet, saying, Thus said the Lord of hosts, my cities through prosperity shall yet be spread abroad, and the
Yes,
Lord
indeed.
shall keep Zion, and shall yet choose Jerusalem.
He said, I'm going to put this thing back in order. But this ain't for everybody. This for everybody that will comply. Everybody that got some sense. Let's go to Romans, the 9th chapter right quick. Let's look at it from Paul explaining it to the Gentiles. No, this ain't Israel scattered either. No, it's not. I know that doctrine. I taught it. Ron did too. He know it. Like I said, I'm throw him under the bus with me. He know that doctrine too. He's very familiar with it. This is actual Europeans that Paul is talking to. Right here. Romans chapter 9. Pick it up at verse 15. 9 and verse 15. When you get it, go ahead and read it.
Romans chapter 9, verse 15.
Yes, sir.
For he said to Moses, I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy.
Yes, sir.
And
go ahead.
I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion.
Go ahead.
So then it is not of him that willeth, nor of him that runneth, but of God that showeth mercy.
Or you think that it ain't what Nebuchadnezzar wanted to do, is what the Lord made him do. Just like he finna give us the example of Pharaoh. Go ahead and read.
For the scripture saith unto Pharaoh, even for this same purpose have I raised thee up, that
right.
I might show my power in thee.
Yes, that's right.
And that my name might be declared throughout all the earth.
Some of the earth? No, throughout all the earth. And the only way you're gonna get that throughout all the earth is Israel gotta be scattered there. And guess what? The nations got to hear this. The queen of Sheba, she came up there and she wasn't no Israelite, and she came to Solomon. Solomon and said, get away from me, you old heathen. He didn't say that. He answered the woman questions, and she gave him all them goods and spices and this and silver her, gold her, and all these other things. She gave him that. Go ahead and read.
Therefore hath he mercy on whom he will have mercy, and whom he will, he hardeneth.
I've even heard some say, hey man, Edomite, what they call them, Edomite, European, Edomites or Edomite European. I said, what? Right. Brother, ain't no such thing as that. Edomite European or European Edomite?
Mm-mm.
Either you're Edomite or either you're European. And the Bible called the Europeans in most places Gentiles, especially in the New Testament. I don't understand that part, but what verse did we stop at?
We stopped at verse 18.
Okay, let's move forward. Just wanted to show you that the Lord, his hand is on whom he chooses to put it on. Let's go to Titus, the 3rd chapter now. Titus chapter 3. Titus, the 3rd chapter. So this is what he told us to do. When we ready to have this revolution, this is what the Lord wants us to be doing right here. This is what he wants us to put each other in mind of. I know a lot of people ain't going to like this, but it don't matter. I have to deliver myself and the ones that will hear this. But I got to answer to my God. Oh, that's old slave book. You're right. It is a slave book. Yes, it definitely is. Because guess what? All I've been reading about is Israel going from slavery to slavery to slavery, all the way into slavery still. And they going to come up out of slavery, and the majority of them going to go in a lake of fire. We don't even know that. So yeah, keep playing with the term. It's a slave book. It's a slave book, all right. But Titus chapter 3, verse 1. Titus chapter 3 and verse 1. Go ahead and read.
Put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers,
Yes.
to
Yes.
obey magistrates, to be ready to every good work.
Now let me read the easy to read version of that. Titus chapter 3, verse 1.
I got it.
Okay.
Remind. Start with that.
Yep.
Okay, I got you. Titus 3 and 1. Remind your people that they should always be under the authority of rulers and government leaders.
Uh,
They should obey these leaders and be ready to do good.
they should obey these leaders and be ready to do good. Yeah. Wait a minute, brother, but they got homosexuality and but they ain't forcing you to become a homosexual. Big difference. What they force you to do is pay your taxes. If you don't, you end up or in jail. That's the type of stuff they tell you to obey. If they tell you no speeding in the city and throughout the city limits, and you speed and they give you a ticket, guess what? You should have obeyed and you wouldn't have had no problem. But read verse 2 in the easy to read version. We might as well read 2 and 3, then we're gonna read 2 and 3 in the KJV. Go ahead.
Tell them not to speak evil of anyone, but to live in peace with others.
Ain't that what Jeremiah? Hold on. Ain't that what Jeremiah said? Seek the peace of the seek the peace of the city. Tell them to speak evil of don't speak evil of anyone, but to live in peace with others. Go ahead.
They should be gentle and polite to everyone.
Oh, we gonna be that white man and did all this trickery to us, and they over tricking our daughters out. Look, man, you got more Israel tricking the people out than anybody. I can read prophecy saying it, and then we can look at what we all see with our own 2 eyes, unless our eyes is lying to us. The pimps that got them on the host. I'm not saying that the Gentile didn't have a little hand in it, but if he ain't put a gun to your head, you are responsible for whatever you do after that. You know how some people say, well, the Willie Lynch letter. Man, I don't care about I never even read it. I think I've looked at the title of it and started to read something and tossed that crap to the side. I said, I don't need no Willie Lynch letter because the Lord said that he gonna dictate this the way that he wanted to go. I'm looking at the book. The book is saying it. We want to overlook this and say Willie Lynch. This guy's a small piece to what God has put on the table and is trying to do. But go ahead and finish reading, brother.
They should be gentle and polite to everyone.
Yep.
In the past, we were foolish too. We did not obey. We were wrong.
Yep.
And we were slaves to the many things our bodies wanted and enjoyed.
Yep.
We lived doing evil and being jealous. People hated us, and we hated each other.
Ain't that the truth? That is the truth.
That is.
I concur to that.
That's the truth.
But let's read it for the KJV version because that's what we subscribe to. Let's read verse 2 and 3 in the KJV and we're going to move forward.
Gotcha. To speak evil of no man, to be no brawlers, but gentle, showing all meekness unto all men.
Oh, show meekness unto Israel and curse everybody else out?
Showing all meekness unto all men.
Brothers ain't reading this book. Go ahead and read.
For we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving divers lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy.
Yes, sir.
And hating one another.
We all were. So now we all got our, like they say, you got your balls and your drawers in a bunch. I said balls, excuse me. Your panties and your drawers in a bunch. Let's go. This is the 3rd chapter. Forgive me, y'all. Amos, the 3rd chapter. Let's go over to Amos, the 3rd chapter. Put them in mind to be in subject to principalities and magistrates. Why? Because that's going to help for some increasing of knowledge to throughout the community. And guess what? Everybody can dodge the sword that's falling on people. And I'm talking young so-called black or Israelite brothers being killed, man. Someone I know, some might say, well, what about the one guy? He had got killed and he was complying with the law and he had gun rights and all of that. The question is we close to God? God is our hedge of protection. You can follow all the rules of the laws of the land you want. But if you ain't got God first, you still got yourself a headache and a problem. That's the point. Amos chapter 3 and verse 1. Watch it. Let's let the book tell us that. Go ahead.
Hear this word that the Lord have spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family, which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying,
Go ahead.
You only have I known of all the families of the earth.
Yes, sir.
Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
That's why everything seems unequal. And you saying, why we can't have equal rights? See, that ain't right. See, they know how to train the police to not hurt their own and just tase them or take them down. But when they get to the black man, they shoot him down like a dog. Do you hear what the Lord just said? Yep. You only have I known of all the families of the earth, therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. So it is something that you're doing as well as we were doing before we started serving the Lord that we have to stop doing. And guess what that's called? Sinning. That means on a Sabbath day you can't be out doing what you want to do. Unless it's for a good cause. You visiting the fathers of the widows, you out preaching the gospel, you feeding the poor. Something that the Lord tell you to do. But then you can't be eating whatever you want. The Lord got a dietary law. You can't grab holidays and just serve them because they make the kids happy. You can't do these things. You can't grab a God from over in India and bring him over to your house and put him in your house and say, I think I'm going to study this and this is going to give me what I need. No. Your power and your source of help is always being your God. The second you separate from him is when everything go bad for you. But the nations never had him. And guess what happened? They still can prosper in their communities. They living good. They ain't worried about their kids being shot down. I ain't read about a Jewish boy being shot down on the streets. I ain't even read about an Arab being shot down on the streets. And they call them the ones the most terrorists of all. But you, the one that keep getting shot down on the streets. Let's go to Hosea, the 4th chapter. Hosea chapter 4. And we're going to pick it up at verse 6. Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6. Here is the problem right here. 6 and 4 and verse 6. This is the problem. Go ahead and read, brother.
My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee.
Now wait, Ron. Hold on. My people are destroyed because they don't have any knowledge. He said that since you reject it, say, I don't need that God. I don't need that Bible. You serve them your way, I serve them. I got Egyptology. Well, is that really true? Well, King James wrote it. He was a homosexual. All this stuff that you speaking against God on, he said, I will also do what, Ron? Reject thee, right?
Yes.
What else he say that thou?
that thou shalt be no priest to me,
And what else?
seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God.
I will also do what?
I will also forget thy children.
That's why you don't have a remedy. That's why you can't go to no congressman. That's why the police and the higher authorities, they don't care. Your president can't even come and visit when something go wrong. You know why? Because they don't have the power to trump God. He said, I'm gonna forget your children because you forgetting my law. So when they get shot and they left in their car seats bloody, you know what the Lord said? He said, wait a minute now. When I'm trying to teach them, they don't want to accept what I'm telling them. So guess what? Your hedges of protection, they are not around you. And at any given time, anything can happen to you amongst your enemies. Now, I ain't speaking ill of anybody that died, my brothers that died, because they still upset me. They upset me greatly. Didn't like it at all. Still don't like it. But guess what? My hands tied behind my back, because if I do anything crazy, then I'm going against the same one that sick the people on me. Go ahead and read, bro.
As they were increased, so they sinned against me. Therefore,
Wait a minute. He said they got greater and greater, right? They sinned against me. Go ahead.
Therefore will I change their glory into shame.
He said, I'm going to change their glory. At one point, they were glorified. They were beautiful to look upon. It was an honor to be around these people. He said, I'm going to change it into shame now. So all these Israelites walking around and they proud, man. And guess what? Sometimes I be ashamed of what we going through. And not only that, ashamed of our history, because we are the Lord said he ain't no people like this people. He said we the most stiff-necked, stubborn, and rebellious. He said in Jeremiah chapter 2, they taught the evil ones their ways. That's what the book said. So if the white man a devil, who you think you are? Man, I don't want to listen to him no more. He always talking about Israel. Yes, that's where our problem is. We got to correct it at the home front. Read verse 8, bro. They eat up.
They eat up the sin of my people, and they set their heart on their iniquity.
They eat up the sin of my people. Act like this ain't even there, but go ahead.
And there shall be like people, like priests. And I will punish them for their ways, and reward them their doings.
Every time I look, every time we keep reading, we keep saying punishment, don't we? Let's go to Romans, the 13th chapter. Romans 13, and let's finish this off now. Romans 13 and verse 3. Romans, the 13th chapter and verse 3. 13 and 3. Go ahead and read.
For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil.
Yep.
Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same.
He said for rulers, so when you know, I'm going to use it in the frame of the words where we can understand. So when we riding about in our cars and the police behind us, I ain't paranoid like my brothers do. I ain't afraid and I ain't shook. And I feel just like them because I'm just like them. I'm licensed just like them. And guess what? You ain't finna tell me to reach for my ID knowing I'm licensed and I'm going to go there. No, I'm going to keep my hands up and I'm going to tell you I'd rather you go in my pocket and get that ID. Because if I move my hand, ain't no telling what you might do. And say, I got scared. He's a big black dude. No, I ain't going for that.
Yes, sir.
I'm using my mind, officer, with all due respect. My hands in the air, and would you please go in my pocket and get my ID for me? So there will not be any miscommunication, sir. That's it. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. The ones that's doing something that's wrong are the ones that's terrified of the police being behind them. I ain't saying that they don't get on our nerves sometimes, because sometimes they be tripping. But for the most part, we be tripping. And that's the reason why we don't want to, deal with the police. Bus hitting this corner, hit that corner, because they try to dodge the police. He said, without then be afraid of the power, do that which is good, meaning abide by these people's laws, and thou shalt have praise of the same. That's seeking the peace of the city. And when he said, thou shalt have praise of the same, guess what the officer going to tell you? Whew, thank you. You just had a tail light out, and, drive safe. Be careful out here at night, and you have a good night, all right? All right, you too. Guess what he getting in this call saying? Praise, probably saying praise God for that.
Yeah.
Because they didn't give me no lip. They didn't give me no back talk. They just respected me. They respected my position, my job. I gave them what they needed. They gave me what they need. And they went on their way. I hope I cross somebody else like this. Not the one like, what you pull me over for anyway? Huh? What you pull me over for? Yeah, because I'm black. Right now you want now it's an argument. You didn't put yourself in an awkward position talking in that tone. Go ahead and read though, verse 4.
For he is the minister of God to thee for good.
Wait a minute. He the minister of God to thee for good. Remember when they say that he's supposed to own a police car that he serve and protect, right? Mm-hmm. Then that ain't just him. You got sheriffs. That ain't just them. You got court systems. This stuff is supposed to be set up to help us for good. You got a dispute with somebody, you take it to court, they settle the matter. You got somebody trespassing on your property, you can't just kill them. So guess what? You call the police and get them up off of there. They supposed to be there for good, but go ahead.
But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid.
But wait a minute now. If you got a whole weed field or cocaine field growing in the back out there, you ain't gonna call the police because you ain't supposed to be dealing with that, because they gonna read you your rights and put you in them handcuffs. Go ahead and read.
For he beareth not the sword in vain.
No, he don't. That's why when we read Daniel chapter 5 and 18, and they start telling us about Daniel, we could have read I think Jeremiah too, where he tell us his sons and his sons' sons. He gave this thing to all of them. Right now we in his sons' hands, who is the Romans. Who is Paul addressing his letter to? The Romans. Telling them y'all got to be in subjection to them too. Whether y'all got the same skin or not, you still got to be in subjection to them. Go ahead and read though. Burn not the sword in vain, but go ahead.
For he is the minister of God. Yes. A revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil.
He said, whoever we riding around in patrol cars and whoever get out of line, that's an Israelite, we sent her to bust your head. We got nightsticks, we got tasers. The Lord said he just said it, her. He a minister of God, not the one that stand in the pulpit and preach. He said a minister as in servant of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon the one that do evil though. You want a high-speed chase, steal people's cars, break in their houses and go on a rant, the police gonna run you over and kill you sooner or later. And you're gonna be on Channel 2 News about it. Go ahead and read verse 5, brother.
Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath.
Yes. He dropped off, but also for conscience sake. So that's two absolutes right there. He said, wherefore you must needs be. And needs, two absolutes, be subject. Obey, not only for wrath, not only because they'll come down on you with some wrath and throw your butt in jail or even kill you, but also for conscience sake. Listen, don't you want to have a peace of mind? Hard enough. Now you got to worry about like they call them, county browns or the boys in blue tripping with you. No, ease your conscience. For this cause pay ye tribute also. God's ministers attending continually upon us very thing. You know what tribute mean? Listen, give these guys due to them what's due. Don't you know how you say, how the people always say, man, our tax dollars pay your, yeah, that's exactly the point. Because they out there trying to patrol. I know this brother ain't sitting here justifying these police. Nah, listen. That's who I'm with. I don't care if you got a beef with them. That's between you and them. But wherever right is, that's where I gotta fall at. And if I'm wrong, I suggest you do the same. You fall where right is. And correct it. But he said, 7 now.
Verse 7.
Verse
Render
7.
therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fear to whom fear, and honor to whom honor.
Hey, ain't that what you do when you go in a courtroom? Your honor. Fair to whom fair. You know when you go in when you go in front of the police, you know you're afraid. You got a lot of people that's in authority and they deal with the customs, taxes, and all those different things. And then you got statues that they make for the cities, and what are them other things they use, Ron, that they be when you got like you live in one of them cul-de-sac areas of a certain kind of like you can't put a sprinkler in your yard system if the owners association. See, that type of stuff. And you like, what? I can't put this in my yard. Homeowners association, ma'am or sir. First thing we do is we get pissed off. Matthew chapter 22. Matthew the 22nd chapter. And we're going to pick it up at verse 17. 17 through 22. Let's look at Jesus if he did the same thing under the hands of the Romans. Running things while he's walking the earth. As a matter of fact, the Romans are running things while he was walking the earth, and they still are today. The Catholic Church, Mother Church, Universal Church, it's called Roman Catholic Church. Every last one of us went to school. Roman numerals. I never knew why we need to know it. But it's a good reason why now, because I know the name of that beast. The name of that is in Revelation now. Because if I didn't count Roman numerals, I probably wouldn't understand it. I had them educating us. So we can be warned about certain things. But Matthew 22 and verse 17, let's see what the leader did. See if he did some fighting. Go ahead.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 17.
Yes, sir.
Tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Give tribute unto Caesar or not?
Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not?
See their wickedness, and said, why tempt ye me, ye hypocrites?
Jesus proceeded wickedly and said, why are you tempting me, you hypocrites? Go ahead, show me the money.
Show me the tribute money. And they brought unto him a penny.
Go ahead.
Said unto them, who is this image and superscription?
He said, who's the image on this penny, man? Go ahead.
They say unto him, Caesar's. He unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's.
Yes.
And unto God the things that are God's.
Listen, pay your tithes and offering to God that you owe him. Keep them commandments he told you. And do the things that Caesar told you. You got to do both. You in the land of your captivity, keep them, and they tribute money. That's all it is. Pay them their taxes, and also do one thing. You pay your offerings, your alms, or whatever the Lord have you to do for him too. That's how you do that. Because Israel like to try to wither their way out of stuff. Let's bag up to chapter 17. 24 through 27. And we got 3 more. 24 through 27. What he actually did himself. Go ahead.
Come to Capernaum, received tribute money, came to Peter and said, "Do it not your master pay tribute?"
Go ahead.
Said, "Yes." And when he was coming to the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, "Simon, of whom do the kings of the earth take custom? Of their own children or of strangers?"
Of their own children or of strangers? Go ahead.
Peter said unto him, "Of strangers." To him, "Then are the children free?"
Then are the children free? Because guess what? In other words, guess what they doing? They are taxed as foreigners. And their own children, they'll let them slide. It's like they slap them on the wrist. Certain things they can get away with, you can't get away with. Paul was telling them, listen, all of us got to be subject now. Today, ain't nobody getting away. Everybody got to pay their taxes now. But go ahead and read them.
"Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea and cast an hook, and take up the fish that first cometh. Open his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. That take and give unto them for me and thee."
Wait a minute, find a piece of money, so they exchanging money with barley and horses, and yeah, they got money. John the 19th chapter. We got one more after this. I'm sorry, 1 Peter chapter 2. Chapter 2. 1 Peter chapter 2. And we got 2 more after this. Pick it up at verse 11.
"Beloved, I beseech you, as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lusts which war against the soul.
Yes, sir.
In your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may, by your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God."
Go ahead and read.
"Submit yourselves to every ordinance of man, for the Lord's sake, king as supreme, or unto government."
Hold on. He said, submit yourselves to what? Some of the ordinances? No, every ordinance of man. And again, don't come to me about they are making law sexuality. Listen, laws for bestiality for all I care. The second that they try to force you to do that is the second you die and not do it. That's when you rebel. It's the people that's already sick in the head need some healing by this word. They ain't telling you you got to keep it. You got to show up to the marriage. They ain't even telling you better marry them. You better get up out of that position. If you believe in God, go ahead and read.
"As unto them that are sent by him for the punishment of evildoers, and for the praise of them that do well."
It definitely sounds just like what Paul's message was to the Romans, don't it? Yes, sir. Go ahead and read.
For so is the will of God, that with well doing ye may put to silence the ignorance of foolish men.
It didn't say with loud talking and bullhorns and cutting, call yourself cutting people, that's going to put the silence in. No, it says letting your light shine and keeping these commandments and showing these people that who they thought is the wildest people on earth is the most submissive, and most knowledgeable and wisest people on earth. That's how you do that. Go ahead.
And not using your liberty or a cloak of maliciousness, but as the servants of God.
The servants of God. Skip down to 8. Now, let's see. Verse 21 and read.
For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps.
We skip verse 18 and 19, y'all, just showing you that even when you're working on your job, you do the same, you apply yourself the same way. Christ suffered for us. He left us example how we should follow his steps. And they pay tribute. Don't you pay tribute? Ain't you supposed to pay tribute? Yes. Who did no sin?
Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth.
So he ain't do no sin, and neither was guile found in his mouth. He wasn't running around lying. Let's go to John 19, and then we got one more. They not long. John chapter 19. 19. Read 1 through 7. 7 for me. Go ahead.
Then Pilate therefore took Jesus and scourged him. And the soldiers platted a crown of thorns and put it on his head, put on him a purple robe, and said, Hail, King of the Jews, with their hands. Pilate therefore went forth again and said unto them, Bring him forth to you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him.
Just said that he was blameless and said he had no sin, no guile in his mouth.
Then came Jesus forth wearing the crown of thorns and a purple robe. And Pilate said unto them,
Yep.
When the chief priest therefore and officers saw him and crucified him, Pilate said unto them, Take ye him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him.
I find no fault in him. Read verse 10 and read 10 and 11. Go ahead.
Then said Pilate unto him, Not unto me, knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee and have power to release thee?
Let's look at what Jesus' response is. Hey, pay attention, y'all. Go ahead and read.
Jesus answered, Thou couldst have no power at all against me, given thee from above.
Yes.
For he that delivered me unto thee hath the greater sin.
And that's Israel. And guess who else? That is also Judas Iscariot, because he was the one that set him up. He said it was best for him to not have been born. Let's go to the last place, Revelation chapter 11. Letting us know right there with that 11th verse that the power that be. Ain't nobody can't do nothing without permission from the Father and the Son agreeing on this. And that's to agree. They agree on everything. I ain't read where one of them say, hey, hold on, Jesus, why you want to do it this way? I don't know, Yahweh. This way, you know what I'm saying? I don't read none of that. Why you calling me Yahweh? I ain't no, and then why you calling me Jesus? Ain't no J, ain't no Hebrew. Any type of argument. That's how man get down. We so simple and petty. Galatians 11, read verse 15.
Galatians chapter 11.
Yep, Revelations 11 and verse 15.
And the seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven, saying, Of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of his Christ.
Yes.
And forever and ever.
This is the revolution that's going to take place right here. Happen at the seventh trumpet. And guess who's going to do it? That's going to do it is the most hated amongst all Israel. don't like them either. But the one that's going to stop this thing and turn this around, everybody don't want them around. Skip down to verse 18 and read.
The nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and
Yes.
the time of the dead, that
Yes.
they should be judged.
Yep.
Thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints,
Yes.
being
Yes.
thy small and great,
Yep.
and
Yes.
shouldest destroy them.
Now the tables are turned, and they finna reign with the Lord, and they finna put things in order. And the ones that deserve to be killed and smashed and everything else that the Lord seemed or deemed fit, that's what's gonna happen. He said this is what he's gonna give to his prophets, all them that fear his name, small and great. Destroy them which destroy who? The earth.
The earth.
Because they did what? They furthered the affliction he sees. And they forever oppressing the poor. And said, that concludes today's lesson. Do we really want a revolution? No. That we gonna start ourselves. The one that we want is the one that we really don't want to come because we don't like the individual that's gonna bring it, which is Jesus. So in other words, guess what? Obey these powers that be, man, and that way you can stay alive while you're in this land. Pray for some understanding. Because then guess what? 2 years I ain't had since I turned around. Been trying to live straight. In 22 years, I ain't had no major problem. 22. And I had this book in my hand. Two of them 20 out of them 22, I didn't understand I was Israel, but I was seeking. I was reading. And some of the stuff was making sense. Hey, you weren't supposed to be doing this, and you weren't supposed to be doing that, and you weren't supposed to be doing this. And I felt bad. Lord, show me what I need to do. So with that being said, I hope y'all got some out of it. I'm going to turn it back over to Ron, and we'll close out from there.
Indeed. Indeed. Once again, I want to thank everybody who tuned in and journeyed with us through scripture today. And first and foremost, as always, we give all praise and glory to the Most High God.
Yes, sir.
We hope you got some edification. Because we know it's a lot of that going around. Brother Bo brought it out. It's a lot of people who really are being swayed to rebellion against the authorities is going to be the answer to our problems. And we just went through the scriptures and found out that that's not the proper answer. The proper answer is acknowledging your sins and repentance and seeking the peace of the city. And so that's what we got to put out there to the people, the word of God. And exercising futility. Right now, people don't like to the actual reality of the situation, which is the word of God. Truth. Just prophesied. During the captivities was prophesied. And about the captivity was even prophesied. Conduct ourselves during the captivity, opened up by the prophets. So God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He don't change. We got to understand that. So I just want to thank you for tuning in this evening with us. Here again next Tuesday, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Topic: Friday. I want to thank everybody who followed us. I want to thank Brother Kevin for bringing forth a beautiful lesson. That's it. Thank you, my brother.
Praise God. All praises to the Most High God, like the brother said. Thanks for joining me in the vineyard. Lord willing, y'all, we will be here again Tuesday, like he said, and yeah, go back to the channel, subscribe if you like what you hear. Subscribe and let them advertisements play out too. Don't be skipping no ads. Let it go all the way through.
Yes, sir.
May the grace, may the Lord keep his hedges of protection around y'all out there. And for those that's trying to truly find their way, may the Lord guide you to his eternal light. These scriptures giving you understanding. And so with that being said, we're going to bid y'all a peace. Enjoy the rest of y'all night. Peace.
Peace.